Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. Black gold in Addison Township may not be a welcome sight, and bad news for Village Councilman Eric Dolan.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Addison Township Supervisor Bruce Pearson is requesting help from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to hold a public hearing over concerns of a proposed local oil well. The proposal by Canadian-based Interx Petroleum is to inject carbon dioxide, also brine, fresh water, steam, and polymers to extract oil from rock in Addison Township. Township Supervisor Bruce Pearson is concerned the process could put local water wells at risk. All Addison residents have independent water wells. While Pearson realizes the final decision is left to the state, he wants residents' thoughts on public record.
Village Councilperson Eric Dolan is the target of a federal suit, but not in the capacity of councilperson. Dolan is a full-time police officer in Oak Park, has been accused of assault, violating constitutional rights, and wrongful arrest of a 24-year-old black male. The suit contains 16 counts, including violation of the 14th Amendment, false arrest, false imprisonment, abuse of process, and assault and battery. According to the man's attorney, the men walked past Dolan and made a derogatory statement to him. After multiple requests by Dolan for the man to stop, he continued to walk away. When the man refused to cooperate, he was brought to the ground and arrested, handcuffed, and charged with disorderly conduct, resisting and obstructing a police officer. Later, charges against the man were dismissed. We will keep you posted on the story.
Oxford Firefighters Union want to keep your kids safe. Local 4763 International Association of Firefighters recently donated 2,500 DNA kits for each child at Oxford Elementary. The kit contains the ability to preserve fingerprints, DNA collection, child's photos, in space for recording descriptions and measurements. Once completed, parents can store the kit at home, and in the event of a missing child, authorities will have to jumpstart with finding the identification of your little one. Overall cost donated by the union is $7,000, thanks to all our great Oxford firemen.
Ryan and Mark Austin, brothers who graduated from Oxford in the early 2000s, both wanted to bring their successful business back to their hometown roots. Recently, the siblings realized the goal by moving headquarters of the Birmingham Seal Coat Company to Metamora Road in Oxford. Headquarters sits on 7 acres with a 4,000 square foot building. The pair have made a successful company pouring concrete, asphalt, seal coating, striping, maintenance, and repairs. With nearly 50 employees working for the pair, last year Birmingham Seal Coat completed over 4,000 jobs. This year, they expect to complete around 6,000. Currently, they are working with the Oxford Township Parks and Recs to complete a new tennis court and an ice skating rink for Seymour Lake Park. Congratulations, Mark and Ryan.
On Saturday, June 17th, downtown Oxford is hosting its very own pub crawl. The purpose of this adult event is to raise funds to support the annual Lone Ranger Parade and festivities on August 5th. The crawl runs from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Check-in begins at Centennial Park at 6:30 p.m. and ends at 11 p.m. Folks 21 and older can quench their thirst and appetites by making the rounds at designated pubs. Tickets are only $10 prior to the event and $15 on the day of. They can be purchased at Caveman and Pip Custom Woodworking and Home Decor Market and at Pink Charlie. Special taxi services will be available later.
Bloomfield Hills builder Contour Development is looking to rezone 7 acres on West Market Street from C1 Commercial to RM Family Residential in order to build 44 attached condos. The proposal will be discussed at the next Township Planning Commission meeting on June 22nd at 7 p.m.
Kingsbury Country Day School in Edison Township recently held its 61st annual country fair. Kids enjoyed rock climbing, pie eating contest, and foot races, face painting, and oh yes, there were cows and other little critters to take selfies with. The Addison Kingsbury Country Fair can be recorded as another resounding success.
That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, you can catch us right here at OCTV Charter Channel 191 or AT&T Channel 99, or you can catch us at OCCTV.org. Click on the program link and you can watch any program you want.
Coming up soon on OCTV's very own Cody Wright with Sports Report. Then catch Oxford School News with John Ochins, and you won't want to miss Talking Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles, and this is Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to American Legion in Oxford for the best fish on Fridays. That's right, from noon to 8:30. You can get the best walleye in Michigan. You can get walleye, baked cod, chicken strips, baked potatoes, and more. On the hall side of the Legion, oh, hello there, friends. You can have 12 friends on a table, any one of the best military museums in Michigan. And the dining side, oh, hello again. More comfortable with many 4-seat tables and a couple of 5-seaters. Now on Friday we usually have about 400 to 500 of best friends for our fish. Carry-out? You bet. We have 50 to 60 carry-outs at the post. We have some young friends with the birthdays and some of our best seniors at the post. Oh yeah, waitresses, they go like a track waitress to get your food. If you have never enjoyed our secret famous walleye at the Legion, come on in every Friday from noon to 8:30 at the American Legion Post 108 on 130 East Rainer Road, Oxford.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, a flurry of promising results in the fight against cancer were presented at the annual meeting of the American Society of Clinical Oncology in Chicago last week. 2 studies suggest the drug abiraterone dramatically improves prostate cancer survival. Together, the studies followed 3,200 men and found that those who received abiraterone alongside standard hormone therapy were 38% less likely to die within around 30 months of treatment and 37% less likely to die within around 40 months. Abiraterone not only prolonged life, but also lowered the chance of relapse by 70%, says Nicholas James of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham in the UK, who led one of the studies. The conference also heard about an experimental ovarian cancer drug, BTG 945, that shrunk the tumors of 7 women in a trial of 15 women. It's rare to see such clear evidence of reproducible responses in early stages of drug development, says Uday Banerjee of the Royal Marsden Hospital in London. Good news. Well, back in bed. Hitting the snooze button at weekends to make up for early starts during the week may be doing more harm than good. Social jet lag, which occurs when your work and social commitments conflict with your innate desire to sleep at certain times, may decrease your risk, that is to say, increase your risk of heart disease. Social jet lag is similar to the tiredness people feel when traveling from one time zone to another, but has a different cause. A lot of people will be waking up at around 7 a.m. on weekdays, but going to bed later and sleeping in on the weekends to compensate, says Sierra Forbush at the University of Arizona in Tucson. To investigate the effects of social jet lag, Forbush's team analyzed data from 984 adults living in Pennsylvania. excuse me, to calculate how much social jet lag they experienced each week, Forbush compared the midpoints between when people said they went to bed and woke up on weekdays and weekends. She also adjusted for how long people slept each week and whether they suffered from insomnia. The team found that for every hour of social jet lag, there was an 11% increase in the likelihood of a person having cardiovascular disease. Social jet lag was also linked to worse mood and increased sleepiness and fatigue. People who experienced just a single hour of social jet lag each week, equivalent to going to bed at midnight and waking up at 8 a.m. on weekends and 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. on weekdays, were 22% more likely to rate their health as good rather than excellent, and 28% more likely to rate it as fair or poor. Physicians also often tell people to think about their diet and exercise, but I think this offers an additional preventative strategy, says Forbush, whose results were presented at the sleep meeting in Boston last week. It's not just about getting enough sleep, but getting regular sleep. Ideally, you want to be going to bed and waking up at the same time every day of the week. This isn't the first study linking social jet lag to poorer health. Almost all the hormones in your body are under circadian control, and frequently shifting your sleep and wake times may cause them to fall out of sync. There are studies indicating that chronotype, a person's biological inclination towards morning or evening preference, may influence risk of cardiovascular disease, and evening types may be more at risk, says Tammy Martino of the University of Guelph in Ontario. In a separate study also presented at the meeting, Dorothy Fisher at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health showed that people living towards the western end of the U.S. time zones are more likely to be evening types, probably because the sun rises later. Indeed, for every degree you move west, people shifted about 2 minutes later, making the average distance between an eastern state like Maine and a western one like Indiana, both within the eastern time zone, approximately 40 minutes. There may also be higher levels of social jet lag on average in such westerly states, Fisher says. Wow. Get to bed early. In space, ancient Mars lakes may have had two habitable zones. NASA's Curiosity rover has inspected Gale Crater on the red planet, revealing rusty oxidized iron deposits at the end and non-oxidized samples from the middle. This oxidization gradient shows the lake could have been ripe for life, types that need oxidants as well as those that don't. The two zones can tell us about past atmospheric oxygen levels and the ancient Martian climate. More than 3 billion years ago, the planet's overall climate began to cool and dry out, but these zones showed warming over a shorter period of time. This adds to past evidence that ancient Mars had an environment hospitable to life, and we wait to see. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. In case you missed it, we have a new principal at Oxford High School for next fall. His name is Stephen Wolf. He's been assistant principal of Grosse Pointe South High School since 2015. Before Grosse Pointe, Wolf taught in South Carolina. He says he's honored and privileged for this opportunity. He replaces Todd Dunkley, who was principal since 2009. He is resigning to pursue other goals. A service learning project has begun over at Oxford Bridges High School. Principal Alita Van Loozen tells how it started.
When we first started, and I'm going to say we being my team of teachers, Mallory Malloy, Whitney Stern, actually she got married, and Nicholas Cost, we had talked about wanting to do project-based learning with our students, meaning having them go into the community and doing some kind of service with the community.
So after some training, teachers there got the kids to swing into action.
So the first day, the students brainstormed issues in the community that bother them. Community being as small as Bridges and as large as your world community. So when you're talking world community, you might be talking about hunger, you might be talking about racism, you might be talking about pollution. They brainstormed issues and then they voted.
Then they took an even deeper look and settled on 4 areas: racism, life skills in school, the image of Bridges High School, and the stigma of mental health. And then
to do is they do research. They've had to write a proposal for us to approve. They had to write a SMART goal. Do you know what a SMART goal is?
No.
A SMART goal is a specific, measurable goal. So it has to have a date, it has to have a timeline, and what you're going to be doing. Specific, measurable, attainable goal.
they had to plan how to make it work.
The group that I am mentoring is working on Bridges image. So they had to come up with a plan on how are you going to work on that. So their goal was to meet with high school administration so that they could talk about and they could brainstorm ways that as a team, Bridges and the high school, could work together to have a better image of the alternative school in the district.
So how's it going?
The students are very excited about it. They're doing a really good job with it. They have a lot of great plans. I think they will be able to follow through with what their service piece of it is. And then we learned a lot as staff also as far as what we need to maybe tweak for next year.
We had some Chinese visitors over at Oxford Elementary. 6 kids from a Wei Ming school came for a few days, staying with one of our families. Their ages ranged from 8 to 10. OES Principal Jeff Brown tells us more.
And the main reason for this exchange is it exposes all of our Oxford kids to some students with a very different background. The reason that we love the homestays is it gives the families and the kids a real opportunity to get to know each other. We've been doing this or something similar to it for at least 5 years now, and it's always heartbreaking when the kids leave how many tears there are, because in the 2 or 3 short weeks the kids are with us, they can build really strong relationships. So it has a huge benefit for our kids, as well as a great opportunity for our students that are joining us from Wei Ming, China.
While we're at OES, it was circus time over there the other day. Circus Among Us was in town. Teacher Peggy Mueller explains, but listen carefully, it was kind of loud.
This is called Circus Among Us. Every 3 years here at Oxford Elementary School, they come out and they put on a circus for us here, including all the kids. Kids learn 10 different circus acts. At the very end, it culminates with this awesome circus where all the kids get to perform.
In case you didn't get that, the circus comes every 3 years. There are 10 acts, all kids get to perform, and much fun was had by all. That's the Oxford School News for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
There's a lot of history to Oxford. Hidden around every corner, deep in every crack, and sometimes right in front of you, waiting to be discovered. If you just dig a little, you'll find the great history of our beautiful town. Welcome to historic Oxford. Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, Call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtv.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
What's happening, Oxford fans? Cody Wright here with the Sports Report. Our high school seniors have graduated and this school year is just about over, which means it's summer. So let's take a look at what Oxford had going this last week to kick things off. As you have heard, the Tough Mudders were here last weekend, bringing to our community loads of people from out of town. However, that wasn't the only action we had last weekend. Seymour Lake Park hosted what was called the Midwest Lax Bash, a lacrosse tournament that played out on 10 running fields. Many teams from all around came to Oxford to compete and have some fun. Athletes ranged from 9 to 14, where players could play up in their age group, but not down. We headed there to see what all the excitement was about, interviewed the staff, the coaches, and of course the players, so keep an eye peeled for the OCTV's coverage of the Lax Bash. Tom Gillis, a Lake Orion High School graduate and Oxford resident in the past, was inducted into the Michigan Golf Hall of Fame on June 3rd at the Country Club in Ferris State. Gillis is a PGA Tour vet, competing in the tour in 2003, 05, and from 2010 to 16. He also played a great deal on the web.com tour as well. It's an honor anytime they put the HOF in front of your name. It's cool, said Gillis. He now serves as head coach for the boys golf at Notre Dame Prep. Congrats, Tom. The senior softball team is well on their way with a record of 8-3 thus far. If you enjoy the game and want to see some incredible fielding, you will find it at Seymour Lake Park on Monday mornings. Of course, you can always catch our coverage of these events and more on your local channel or on YouTube, which you can find through our website, occtv.org. We enjoy covering and bringing it to you, so tell us what you think. Once again, that is occtv.org. And that should just about wrap up this week's report. Be sure to tune in next week for your update on this summer's athletic events. Until then, I'm Cody Wright. We'll see you soon.
Canine Rescue does just that. Rescue stray dogs for new families. But they need your help. Become a volunteer at Canine Rescue League of Michigan. Take dogs for walks, help them socialize with others, and help them get adopted. Fill out an application and help a family add a new member today. Canine Rescue does just that. Rescue stray dogs for new families. But they need your help. Become a volunteer at Canine Rescue League of Michigan. Take dogs for walks, help them socialize with others, and help them get adopted. Fill out an application and help a family add a new member today.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Volkswagen said close to 9,300 employees have agreed to an early retirement plan, helping the automaker bring down costs. We are rapidly approaching our target of 9,300 contracts signed. Employees who wish to take partial early retirement must make their decision by July 31st, VW board member for Human Resources Karl-Heinz Blessing said in a statement on May 30th. The offer is aimed mainly at people born between 1955 and 1960. VW has guaranteed that there will be no forced layoffs as part of its Transform 2025 Plus plan to cut the workforce and improve productivity by 25% until 2025. And still in Germany, Audi, that is, will become the latest automaker to use 48-volt mild hybrid models in its cars to improve fuel economy and lower emissions. The automaker's latest A8 sedan, which will go on sale later this year, will be equipped with a 48-volt lithium battery and belt-driven alternator starter that recuperates energy during braking and stores it in the battery. The system will be standard on all A8 models, both gasoline and diesel. Audi plans to very quickly extend the system's use on its larger model lines. Alexander Cruz, the automaker's head of mild hybrid systems, said at a technical day at Audi Forum in Munich Airport on May 30th. The new generations of the A6 and A7 models will have the technology. The A7 is due to debut at the Frankfurt Auto Show in September, while the A6 is set to launch next year. Cruz said Audi's smaller models will not use a 48-volt lithium-ion battery, but will instead have a lighter, more conventional battery that provides less torque for shorter periods. Recuperated energy stored in the battery can provide additional power of up to 16 horsepower and 44 pounds-feet of torque. Automakers are turning to 48-volt mild hybrids to help meet stricter fuel economy and emissions targets as the cost of adapting diesel engines to meet tougher regulations is rising. In the A8, the 48-volt system will help reduce fuel consumptions when the engine restarts after coasting. The A8 can coast for up to 45 seconds with the engine turned off at speeds between 19 miles per hour and 99 miles per hour. Once the driver accelerates again, whether from a stop or while driving, the alternator starter revs up the engine to the target speed. In many situations, recovery of energy during deceleration is more efficient than coasting. To decide between the two, the A8 has a drive management system that uses a front camera and optionally that is, data from a predictive efficiency assistant, the route data stored in the navigation system, and other data supplied by the car's sensors. The Audi vehicles equipped with a 48-volt mild hybrid system will also have a separate 12-volt battery to power lights, air conditioning, the engine control unit, and other equipment, and a separate starter for cold start. The 48-volt mild hybrid is part of Audi's strategy to improve fuel economy in its gasoline and diesel engines. The automaker's powertrain development department is working on a cylinder-on-demand technology for V6 and V8 engines. Audi will unveil its fourth-generation A8 on July 11th during what the automaker calls the first Audi Summit. The sedan will have advanced autonomous driving technology and will mark the start of a new styling direction for the brand. Wow. Well, on the recall front, Hyundai Motor America is recalling nearly 600,000 vehicles for problems with hood latches and parking brake warning lights. There have been no reported incidents or injuries related to either issue. The larger of the two recalls, made public June 8th by the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, involves a faulty cable for the secondary hood latch, which could corrode and prevent the hood from latching. The recall covers 437,000 Santa Fe and Santa Fe Sport crossovers from the 2013 to 2017 model years. Hyundai clarified the safety risk only applied if the hood is not properly closed. The problem occurs more frequently in salt belt states in the northeastern part of the country, where large quantities of salt are applied to roads during the winter season, which can get trapped in and corrode the hood latch. A second recall, posted June 8th, covers about 150,000 Sonata models and 10,800 Genesis models from 2015 and 2016. Corrosion was also the blame for an issue with a switch involved in illuminating the parking brake, possibly keeping drivers from knowing if the brake is on while driving. Hyundai identified the issue in May, and both recalls will begin June 30th. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.